I value loyalty, I value integrity, wisdom, humor, patience, authenticity. I value love, and I value humility. There's times where I think too highly of myself. You know, my self concept gets a little bit out of whack. I get arrogant, and in taking the time to gain perspective from other people and appreciate that as much as my own perspective, if not more so, considering it's an angle that's not as closely invested in my ego. And when I take the perception of the way that things are folding or unfolded in my mind and I compare it to the way that other people are looking at it, that's really valuable data to be had. People that I love and care about don't always love me back in the same way, and that's a good thing because people love and receive love in different ways. Like, it might just not make sense, and the love that I'm offering to somebody might not be the love that they are programmed to be able to receive properly. So I think the world is a better place when we have less fault finders, when we have less people who are expressing verbally what's wrong, when there's a capacity to make a change about it in a way that is tangible. I think when we treat each other wrong, it's a symptom of trauma. It's a symptom of abuse, uh, especially when other people do wrong by us and then we wind up going back and saying, all right, now I have to do wrong by that person because of the way that harmony is supposed to strike. But achieving that sense of external harmony requires a sense of internal harmony. You know, if somebody else rocks the boat and then you rock the boat again, you're just rocking the boat. And you might feel called to do the same thing so that way they gain an understanding of how you're feeling from your perspective, when really, when you lock in to saying, I'm not going to treat somebody the way that they treat me, because I'm not going to let that person who doesn't move the way that I would move change me into becoming who I don't want to be, just because you want to react a certain kind of way and send a message, when the most important person that you could send a message to is yourself, and changing your self-concept. Because if you consistently get put in situations where you got people doing you wrong, there's a sense of responsibility to remove yourself from these kinds of situations. And maybe the reason that you keep on ending up in these situations is more of an internal attraction that you have to ending up in these situations, as a recursive pattern that you haven't learned yet, that you'll continue to go through until you finally learn it. And that sense of you learning it for you requires a sense of rawness and authenticity that you might not be ready for, right? That sense of shadow work that we all have to put in for, that we all got these like really ugly qualities about ourselves and these things that we've done in our lives that might not be the most conducive to the success of our ego. And when we keep on feeding into the delusion as if these negative aspects of ourselves don't exist without integrating them, we'll be moving in a way that looks crazy to the outside world, because we're not willing to acknowledge the darkness within us. And when we're not willing to acknowledge that sense of darkness within us, it's going to dim our light. And so when everybody else is looking at us for who we are based on their perspective, and they're not worried about keeping up your ego, they're worried about having an accurate worldview, and you're moving in a way that's just wildly inaccurate to who you think that you are, is not going to be conducive to your success. So that sense of authenticity requires saying what needs to be said when it needs to be said. As important as it is to recognize the needs of others, it takes as much courage to bring your own needs to others' attention, as no one can fill the needs that you won't let show, like Bill Withers. All right, lean on me. If you got a problem and you got no way of solving it, or a perceived not way of solving it, you could sit with it for a little bit. Don't stew on it. Don't keep on running the wheels off of your hamster wheel, but be productive about how you're resting. Be mindful about the way that you rest, and be mindful about the way that you work, because they all work in conjunction with one another. And having that sense of integrity within your thought process and your communication, and being morally right and morally just even when you're challenged by someone who's acting immoral. When you're doing the right thing, the most important part of the decision-making process sometimes isn't the easy choice, but striving to remain light, striving to remain childlike, trying to remain humorous, trying to grow. And as I grow older and I value these traits more, I broaden my scope, and I'm gaining wisdom to best serve other people. Like, all the things that I've learned in philosophy and religion, and like, I keep reading, not because I need to read it more. I don't. All the lessons that I've learned, really, the best thing is silence. Now, that was only about 10 seconds worth of silence, but that was like a really, really long pause for what I'm looking at. In that sense of silence, you got the truth. If you have two people from different cultures in sign language debating philosophy, and they're throwing up hand signs at each other, disagreeing with each other about what the truth is either of those, like, are either of those hand signs that they're throwing up, the sign language, are either of them really the truth? I mean, the truth is that they did put up those hand signs, but the ability to describe it linguistically or visually or auditorily or even kinesthetically, like the way that we feel about things, it's not the truth. The truth is in being as we are. And as we continue to be, there's no greater truth in that. And I could go the rest of my life not talking and be silent and be a mute and understand the meaning of life better than 99% of the population. But considering that I need to communicate this to other people, because the value that I've gained from studying Carl Jung and Eastern and Western philosophy is in the ability to shape others' lives in a way that's the most meaningful to them in that particular moment, in meeting them where they are. Because that difficult process of meeting myself where I am and where I was in my life at the time where I was at my lowest and not willing to look at the negative aspects of myself that I needed to, and all the pain that goes into that process, that in today's day and age where people are more individualistic than ever, more materialistic than ever, that because we have these power vacuums, especially with the introduction of AI and people being able to communicate within themselves deeper, but have a hard time expressing these thoughts to other people without getting triggered, it's important to be able to meet people where they are. And so I'll end today's video with an auto suggestion. That I am light, love, peace, bliss, joy, prosperity, and fulfillment, regardless of external circumstances. And I meet people where they are in order to produce the most light, love, peace, bliss, joy, prosperity, and fulfillment within their lives. Thank you for watching today's video. If you appreciate Thank you for watching today's video. If you appreciated it and you think that someone in your life would benefit from watching this particular video, then feel free to send it to them. And if you liked it yourself, feel free to drop a like on the video, leave a comment, and I would love for whoever watches this video to reach out and just say what they're going through, how their day is, what they're learning about themselves. Yeah, what are you learning about yourself recently? And can't wait to hear back. Thanks.